everyone, I am Huneza and Huneza is back here with the brand new series of Viking Invasion in history of English literature. So we were talking about Anglo-Saxons period and their arrivals towards the English. In this video we are going to talk about the Vikings invasion. So far we have talked about the Anglo-Saxons period and England was divided into the 7 kingdoms. The 7 kingdoms are Kent, Mercia, East Anglia, Sussex, Essex, Wessex and Northumbria. These were ruled by the Anglo-Saxons and the Jutes. You can pause it and take the screenshot of this map. And these Vikings were basically the groups of men coming from different places that were close to England. Vikings came from 3 different places collectively called Scandinavia. Scandinavia was composed of the Sweden, Denmark and Norway. If we talked about their characteristics, that what type of the people and who they are, they used ships for long distances and called the seafarers, and they were traders, settlers who were always in search of the good place, and also warriors. They were fond of fighting for the sake of lands and treasures. This type of the people they are, Europeans were afraid of them as they treat women, children, monks and residents of the desired places so badly after their attack. They used strong weapons, swift attacks and cruel fighting tricks. The question here is why Vikings came to England. There were some reasons they were raided to England. Number 1 is that the population was increasing during 7th to 9th century. As we start of the Christianity, mostly people were uncivilized and called pagans. Pagans were people who don't have any religion. So they have more than one wives and many children to grow their army, and then after that they went on adventures with their children. So they make a very huge army. So number 2 is that England is a close place to them and consists of the treasures and the green lands. Why Vikings invaded the England? That it was less productive because England didn't have any military forces to protect their boundaries, so it was easy to attack on them. So in the start their aim was to loot the land and make themselves wealthy, but gradually when they started to invade the England and they realized that how beautiful and green place is that, they decided to conquer the land. First, if we talk about the first arrival of the Vikings, the first Vikings came from Norway in 793. 793 was the start and the beginning, or we can say that the landmark of the Vikings invasion in England. They landed at the northeast coast. They first started to invade the coast of the England. After that they started to invade England properly. So they landed at the northeast coast of the England and attacked on a monastery at Lindisfarne. This was a holy place. Some monks of the monastery drowned in the sea. Some were killed or taken away as slaves along the treasures of the church. So they attacked on the monastery and take the treasures and then went out of this. So after this invasion, when King Egbert of Wessex became the king of the England in 802 to 839, he worked on the unification of the England as it was divided into 3 parts and the groups England was divided. He worked inner strength and completely overcome Mercia to provide the inner strength and unify the England. He was also called as Beatwalder, or the white ruler of Anglo-Saxons lands, as he was the first to unify the kingdoms of the England. So this was the first raid, and improvements after that. The first visit made them realize that this is the next place for living a better life. Second attack was from the Denmark. Danish started to attack on England and try to conquer it. This time English king paid them to leave the country, but the Vikings took their money and didn't stop fighting. These payments were called as dangled, means seeking favor or attention. Attacks from different sides remained continued till 865, and a great Danish army arrived in 865 again in East Anglia and marked the start of a new phase of Viking attack. This time they didn't come to loot the land but to take the land from the custody of the Anglo-Saxons. At this time that Alfred the king was the king of the England and he saved the Anglo-Saxons England. He stopped the advances of the Vikings on England and prevented Danes from becoming the master of the whole England, and this was the battle of the Edington in 878. He won a decisive victory and made an agreement with the Vikings. They created a new land known as Danelaw in the north of the England. It became part of England, where they made a land that is known as Danelaw. So if we talk about the land Danelaw, it became the part of the England where the laws and customs were Danish, not English. At this point, England became divided into the three parts. These were Wessex, English Mercia, and the Danelaw. Many of the words in the English vocabulary have Danish origin as late as the 11th century, when a Scandinavian came to England didn't feel as a stranger. The language was the same and the customs were the same. This was true until the Norman conquest in 1066. We will discuss in our next video. This is very important landmark in the history of English literature when French was introduced into England. This is a little bit more overview as a timeline. If you wanted to read this, you can take a screenshot of this slide. So let's overview our today's elements, what we have talked about today, what we have learned today about the Viking invasion. We will talk about who were Vikings, from where they came, how were their living styles, why they invade England, why they settled in England, and why they raided so many times in England, reasons of their coming in England, about King Egbert of Wessex and how he unified the England, about Alfred the Great and division of England, and about the new place Danelaw. This we will surely be talking about the Norman conquest, that was a landmark in the history of English literature, and then conclude the Old English period with the literature produced in this duration. Till then, keep connecting with me and have a healthy life. Stay tuned, stay connected. We will meet you soon.